The story originates from the YouTube channel Pasha Brill, where creator Pasha regularly documents his ventures into eerie and unexplained locations. On January 11th, 2026, he uploaded a video that almost immediately captured widespread attention. While making his way alone through a remote forest trail, Pasha came across an old GoPro camera just lying on the ground. The idea of a camera being left behind in such a secluded spot was immediately alarming. Driven by curiosity, he followed the nearby trail and before long came upon an abandoned campsite nestled further into the trees. A tent sat completely unattended, personal items strewn around it on the forest floor. The fire pit had burned out long ago, and nothing suggested anyone was coming back. The whole scene gave the impression that whoever had been there either fled in a panic or simply ceased to exist. When Pasha eventually reviewed the GoPro's footage, he found recordings made by the very person who had been staying there. That individual had been filming their trip with no idea that it would never reach its conclusion. What started as a casual forest walk had transformed into something deeply troubling. Within the campsite,
Hey. Oh.
he encountered the remains of a dog that had been brutally torn to pieces. The sight hit him hard, flooding him with dread and unease. Even in that distressed state, he took the time to give the animal a proper burial before walking away. Once he got home, he went through the GoPro recordings, and what unfolded on screen left him with far more questions than he'd started with. Shaken by what the footage contained, he concluded it had to be turned over to the police. Before handing it off, he made a personal copy and eventually shared it with his audience. Pasha was upfront about the fact that he was no investigator, and noted that even trained search teams had come up empty-handed. It was later confirmed that the GoPro had belonged to someone who had gone missing from that exact stretch of wilderness just 4 days before Pasha stumbled upon it. Whatever the camera had recorded was profoundly disturbing and still has no explanation, making an already unsettling discovery feel even darker. The recordings painted a haunting picture. The missing man had been setting up camp and getting his fire going. Right as the flames caught, the camera picked up another figure lurking in the background near a tree, watching him in complete silence. The figure moved in a slow, deliberate reverse motion, almost as though trying to avoid detection, yet his gaze never left the camper. There was something deeply calculated about the way he stood there, observing, controlled, intentional, and undeniably sinister. As the night wore on, the footage grew increasingly disturbing. From inside his tent, the man could be heard reacting to strange noises coming from outside. First, the crack of branches and the shuffle of leaves, as though something or someone was circling the area. Then footsteps approached, stopping right at the edge of the tent. A sharp metallic clang followed, then a heavy thud, as though his bicycle had been shoved and toppled over. When he finally worked up the nerve to step outside, the area was completely empty, no animals, no movement, nothing. Whatever had been out there had disappeared without a trace. His bike was flat on the ground with no wind or environmental cause to explain it, giving the strong impression it had been deliberately knocked down. But what he found next was worse. A knife had been driven into a nearby tree. It wasn't his, and it hadn't been there before, which meant someone had been within arm's reach of his camp, watching and moving around him in the dark. The footage then follows the man as he heads further into the trees, and without warning, the recording cuts out completely. That abrupt ending is perhaps the most chilling detail of all. He was last known to be somewhere in those woods, and after that night, he was never seen again. No trace, no leads, no closure. Pasha later explained that he deliberately withheld the missing person's identity out of respect, sharing only the recovered footage and reiterating that he had no investigative background and that even professional search efforts had turned up nothing. What unsettled him most was how all the pieces seemed to connect. The shadowy figure watching from the tree line earlier in the evening, the strange noises circling the tent, the toppled bike, the knife buried in the bark, and the savagely destroyed dog found back at the campsite. Was the man's disappearance tied to that strange figure caught on camera? Could it have been the work of a predator, human or animal? Or is there something even harder to explain lurking behind it all? The truth remains unknown. The wilderness doesn't only shelter beauty, it buries secrets too, and some of those secrets are never meant to surface. Out in the wild, nature itself can be lethal, but the most terrifying thing you might encounter is something that walks upright, just like you. This opening discovery was made by a YouTuber who goes by the name Happy Hippie during one of his solo excursions into the outdoors. He had ventured far into the Scottish wilderness when he stumbled upon a remote shelter called the White Lagoon, though strangely the bothy seemed completely deserted when he arrived. The structure itself was a basic unmarked refuge, traditionally open for anyone passing through. He stepped inside to see if anyone else was there. but the place was entirely unoccupied.
Oh, nice, bunk beds. Alright, sweet. Nice and cozy. Said I wanted to take up fishing. Someone's left a little homemade fishing rod. Really sweet. You see some pretty weird shit written on doors. That's normally the shit you see. Smoke that shit. And that's a common one. If you can see it, it says fuck Bill Gates. That one, little coordinates. Think I'm gonna go check it out? Hell no.
He eventually started unpacking and getting himself sorted for the night, and aside from a handful of worn garments, some fire-starting gear, and scrawlings on the walls, the space had very little to offer. What he didn't realize, though, was that something he wasn't expecting was about to unfold. His walkthrough of the bothy took place in the heart of the Scottish backcountry, and at first, by his own account, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but that was about to change.
It's a filter straws, and it comes with 2 little bags as well, so you can attach the straw to that, but I've not got to you. Maybe this is the guests? There was no one there. I don't know if that's just some people fucking with me or something. I don't know if that's something they do. But I don't think it would be that family if it was just a dad and his daughter.
He was by himself inside the bothy when he first picked up on a sound coming from somewhere within the structure. Figuring it was a fellow hiker seeking shelter, he waited, but no one showed up. Then came a sharp, heavy knocking at the door.
And then I went out, but there was no one there, so I don't know what's going on. I've not heard of any haunted bothies or anything. I've never had weird shit. Fuck's sake. Just wanted a nice little bothy night. If you've watched all my videos before, you know I don't do shit like this.
He headed outside into the darkness among the trees to investigate, but there was nothing to be found. A few minutes passed before he came back in and attempted to settle down. Yet soon after, the clear sound of heavy footsteps could be heard coming from the adjoining room.
Around into the room, and then I go in there, and it just stops. Maybe I just put my music on really loud and forget about it.
The sounds were distinct enough to actually be picked up by his camera, which means he wasn't simply imagining it. The bothy was completely vacant the entire time. Whatever was responsible for the noise made sure to stay out of sight. Many viewers chalked it up to wind or wildlife, while others felt something far more unusual was at play. The truth remains unclear to this day. In the summer of 2014, a man named Chris was out mountain biking near Fernie, British Columbia, when he noticed something shifting through the long grass. He quickly worked out that it was a mountain lion and wasted no time pulling out his camera to start filming.
See it, but there's a mountain lion. He's crouching in the grass.
The animal is difficult to make out at first, but as Chris continues along the trail, it comes into view, pushing out from the grass and closing the distance between them.
Is a mountain lion, and he's stalking me.
Mountain lions rarely cross paths with humans, but when they do, the situation can turn dangerous fast. Watching one stalk through tall grass with its gaze fixed on you is a serious signal to stay on guard. A couple of minutes into the footage, the lion picks up its pace, and in a moment of panic, Chris makes a crucial mistake. He turns and runs.
Hey, Mr. Mountain Lion. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Rather than giving chase, however, the lion abruptly halts, settles down, and watches him go, melting back into the wilderness just as silently as it had appeared. Over the next few minutes, Chris attempts to frighten the animal away, but it simply moves around him in a wide arc, keeping its eyes trained on him from the tall grass at the tree line. He then cautiously edges toward the main trail that leads back to his vehicle. But before he can make much progress, the mountain lion reappears, cutting off his route.
Right in front of me. Stay back. Stay there. I'm not afraid of you.
After several tense moments, the mountain lion finally turned and retreated into the forest. Being that exposed to such a powerful wild animal must have been genuinely terrifying, especially knowing how quickly things could have gone wrong. Fortunately, Chris walked away unharmed, rattled but safe. Northstar Boys are a prominent Asian American creator collective and pop group. They run a YouTube channel packed with music, dance content, and all kinds of entertainment. But the videos that truly caught the internet's attention are their challenge series, where they throw themselves into all sorts of unexpected situations. In this particular case, they decided to experience camping for the very first time and documented the whole thing across a two-part series. The first episode follows their trip to the campsite, while the second captures everything that unfolded once night fell. Let's just say it went nothing like they anticipated.
Or something, bro. Like, I'm tweaking right now, bro.
Bro, it's so cold, bro.
We ran for like 8 miles, bro.
I'm so tired, bro.
It was like 4.2 there and 4.2
I did
back.
custody for 1 year, bro. And that it's so cold.
Alright, so like, when me and Seb went out, we saw a sign that said mountain lions. And to get away from them or scare them away, we have to literally like wave our arms and scream at them like
They grilled sausages, messed around with each other, and were genuinely having a blast. It had all the makings of a perfect laid-back night under the stars. But as the hours wore on, they eventually made their way into the tent. And naturally, instead of actually getting any sleep, they kept the energy going with laughter and conversation.
Lit. Sit.
Kit.
Hit.
Mit.
Florida jit. That's so bad, bro.
Hey, you said it already.
What?
I think that was the sits already.
No,
tits.
Tits.
I said Florida jit.
Please don't kick me out. No one said tits.
He's out.
Then, somewhere around 9:30 in the evening, the whole atmosphere changed in an instant. Without any warning, they began picking up a faint voice drifting in from somewhere out in the darkness. A soft, unsettling sound that almost resembled someone singing. Initially, they weren't even certain they were really hearing it, but the longer it continued, the harder it was to dismiss. And that's the moment things took a genuinely alarming turn.
actually terrified, bro. Shut up. Let me try to see if I can hear it. Bro, that sounds like some demonic stuff. Bro, if he gets closer, I'm out.
Hey, yo, what's up?
He's walking away. He is. Okay. I think we're good. King, keep lookout. Keep lookout. He's just on drugs. There's two. See a figure. Was that English? No. go because if you hear, he doesn't. I don't think he wants to cause trouble. Him knowing that we're here, he walked away, right? Without us saying anything to him. At the same time, he said there's. If we walk out, turn on these beds, put the headlights. He's coming closer. Yeah, get back.
Yeah, record it. I'll record it, but no light. Somebody talk to him. Said I have a knife and medication or something like that.
Can I put it on?
Here, give me the headband. I'll watch with someone, whoever wants to watch with me.
No, I just want to keep that area there.
That was scary.
It was
That was the scariest ever.
Shut up, hold on. What happened?
They never came face to face with the man, but they made the smart call, grabbing everything and getting out of there as quickly as they could. Later, going back through their footage, they spotted warning signs that clearly prohibited camping in that area. Their camera had actually picked up a figure in the distance. During the first episode, without any of them noticing, there were scratches and markings carved into nearby rocks. And perhaps most chilling of all, that particular forest had a documented history of criminal activity spanning several years. Could the whole thing have been staged? Sure, it's possible, but they maintained it was completely genuine and not a setup. And honestly, looking at the sheer panic on their faces as it unfolded, it's hard not to believe them. The fear was written all over them. Fortunately, they made it out without a scratch. Meet Nikki, the creator behind the YouTube channel Nikki TV. Her content brings viewers along for immersive car camping journeys in her Toyota 4Runner, documenting both the breathtaking scenery and the raw realities of venturing into the wilderness alone. With an honest, down-to-earth approach and plenty of practical know-how, Nikki has built a following around her genuine outdoor adventures. But when it came to her very first camping trip of 2025, she was about to discover just how unsettling and unpredictable the great outdoors can be. On January 31st, 2025, Nikki pulled into a remote campground, excited to finally get back outside after spending the month of January recovering from pneumonia. Armed with her camera and her gear, she was ready to document whatever the night had waiting for her.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I'm Nikki and this is Nikki TV. As you can see from the mess behind me, I just came home from work a couple hours ago and just threw everything at the back of the 4Runner, took out the bed platform, threw in a tent and a chair.
The video kicked off with Nikki opening up about her recent illness and how desperately she had been craving a return to nature after being stuck indoors all month. Her excitement was impossible to miss as she spoke, setting the stage for what would soon become a deeply unsettling experience.
Well, we made it to camp. So let's get set up.
After pulling into her campsite, Nikki wasted no time getting everything in order. Completely unaware of the chaos that lay ahead, she methodically worked through her setup, every movement reflecting the ease of someone who had done this many times before. Early in the footage, she pointed something out to her audience. She asked them to take note of 2 picnic tables sitting side by side nearby, a detail that would come back around during a creepy moment later in the trip.
You know, it never ceases to amaze me whenever I go camping in the winter. I'm expecting to really not see many people, but when I get to my spot, I'm like in shock at how many people's winter camping.
As she kept working on her tent, something else grabbed her attention. She had been hoping for a quiet, solitary winter camping experience, so she was caught off guard by the number of other campers already in the area. She remarked that it always surprised her how busy these spots got during the colder months. And little did she realize that this unexpected crowd was about to become a very real source of concern. With great attention to detail, Nikki layered padding beneath her sleeping area to insulate herself from the freezing ground. Once everything was in place, she surveyed her campsite with a quiet sense of accomplishment, with no idea that her evening was about to be turned upside down. Just minutes after finishing her setup, a fellow camper wandered over and started chatting with her. They talked about gear and gadgets, But even in that casual exchange, she found herself feeling uneasy about having to rely on a stranger.
Bother you at all, but I do start my van every once in a while. Like, I didn't set up my tent because it's pretty wet, obviously.
Yeah.
So if I bother you, just let me know.
You're fine, because if I get too cold, I'm hopping my butt right in the back of that 4Runner.
Okay.
And if you hear me talking, I promise I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to a GoPro.
Well, I talk to myself.
Well, I mean, I'm basically talking to myself. I still want you to think.
Just as long as you know, if you hear me out, especially if I got my headphones on,
Yeah.
and I'm rocking, if I say, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're totally fine.
As the afternoon stretched on, she kept herself busy cooking a meal and putting the finishing touches on her site.
I don't think so. Okay. We were counting on it.
So, a group of people with a bunch of teenage boys.
Then, as the day began to wind down, the peaceful atmosphere shattered. A group of men arrived alongside a pack of rowdy teenage boys and began pitching their tents uncomfortably close to Nikki's spot. What came next sent a jolt of anxiety straight through her. They claimed that they had booked not just the site beside hers.
I'll tell you what, people are just rude anymore. I had to take everything out of my tent and put it back into the 4Runner because these men showed up.
But hers as well. The men approached her, insisting there had been some kind of error in the reservation system. But with the ranger station already closed for the evening, she had absolutely no way to verify what they were telling her.
Told me that they had booked this site and the site beside of me, and that there must have been some misunderstanding, but the problem is that the office is now closed. So I looked at him and I was like, well, you know, I've already been here for a couple hours. My name's on the post. Cook, because they put little tags on the post at each campsite, and they put the dates that you're going to be arriving and the date that you're going to be leaving. So my name is on the tag that's on the campsite post, and it says that I'll be coming in today and leaving tomorrow. So, you know, I looked at him and said, well, I booked this site. It was available. The website allowed me to book the site. If the site was taken, it would have shown me that it was unavailable.
Even as Nikki laid out her side of things, the tension continued to climb. 4 vehicles, 3 men, and a chorus of loud kids and grandkids surrounded her, and her growing discomfort was evident throughout the footage. What bothered her most wasn't just that they were there, it was that they deliberately chose to set up camp a mere 20 feet from her tent. That deliberate closeness set off alarm bells she couldn't ignore, and it pushed her to reconsider her safety for the rest of the night. She made the call to leave her tent where it was, but moved all of her belongings into the back of her 4Runner, choosing to sleep in the car instead. The night itself passed without any incident, while she stayed tucked inside her vehicle, but morning brought a whole new set of problems.
Good morning. We woke up to rain, which I knew there was going to be a chance of. So, looks like we're going to be packing up in the rain, which is okay. I didn't bring my raincoat or my poncho, but
She woke up to a heavy rainstorm hammering the area. After breaking down her tent the following morning, Nikki headed out to hike the icy trails near the campground, determined to squeeze at least some enjoyment out of the trip despite everything that had gone wrong the night before.
I'm just gonna go for a hike and then come back and have my coffee and breakfast right here instead of stopping at a rest stop. I kind of feel like that would be a better option than having just to stop somewhere else when I'm already here. And as you can see, there's nobody here. Maybe 1 or 2 cars. Well, solid sheet of ice. And I left my walking sticks in the 4Runner. Just slide right off of there into the water.
Though Nikki made it through without anything happening, one nagging question refused to go away. What were those men actually after? Was the whole thing just a genuine booking mix-up, or was there something far more calculated behind their decision to camp so close to a woman traveling alone? That answer will never come. While encounters with the paranormal can shake you to your core, it's often other people who represent the most real danger in remote and isolated places. You can never fully know what someone else's intentions are or what they might be capable of. Thankfully, Nikki's instincts kicked in at the right moment, and her decision to retreat to her vehicle kept her safe. Grizzly Gas is a YouTube channel run by a creator who loves venturing into the wilderness and documenting his camping experiences. On January 26, 2025, he was out near Burnshaw Tower doing exactly that, capturing footage of the foggy hillside. From the moment he arrived, though, something about the location felt off. Nothing appeared threatening at first glance. Then he picked up on a sound that stopped him cold.
Don't know if I just caught that, but I'm pretty sure I've just heard gunshots. I don't feel like stopping here if there's shooting going on.
A scream rang out and a gunshot followed almost immediately after. He knew instantly that something serious had gone down. There was no hesitation. He gathered his gear and got out of there fast. Getting through the woods turned out to be harder than expected, though. The trail was unclear, tangled roots and downed trees kept blocking his path, and he had to physically assist his dog over each obstacle. At one point, he noticed flashes of light and spotted something he couldn't quite make sense of.
I keep seeing flashes of light, like eye shine, but that corner of my eye.
Every snap of a twig or rustle in the brush brought him to a standstill as he checked to make sure nobody else was around. By the time he reached somewhere he felt relatively safe, he was exhausted and rattled. Later that evening, he contacted the authorities to report what he'd witnessed, giving them a full account and letting them know the whole thing had been captured on camera. Reviewing the footage afterward only reinforced just how much danger he had actually been in that night. Bigum's Delicious is a YouTube channel run by a creator who documents his time spent out in nature. He's someone who clearly loves the outdoors, but on one particular camping trip to Ozette Lake, the experience took a turn he wasn't expecting. He began picking up on sounds of movement closing in around his campsite, so he carefully pulled out his camera and let it roll on what unfolded.
If you guys can hear, but there's something walking around back there. Might be a bear or an elk. Might be a fag squatch. Is that a fag squatch? Yes? Come on out, boy. Get out of my woods. You hear that? It's pretty loud. It's twigs breaking and stuff, so it's a large mammal. I don't think a Sasquatch would be that loud, though. Probably an elk. It's walking so slow, though. It does not sound like 4 feet either. It's no more than 15, 20 yards out there. Maybe 25. Maybe a little, it's hard to tell.
What made the whole thing so unnerving was how completely still the forest had gone. The only thing breaking that silence was the sound of something stepping through the dark. He did his best to keep it together and waited to see if anything would reveal itself. But just like that, the footsteps went quiet and the usual sounds of the woods crept back in, as though nothing had ever been there. The whole incident left people watching with far more questions than answers. So what do you think was lurking out there that night? Was it just a wandering animal or something a little more troubling? Drop your thoughts below. Spraying. Our first clip tonight comes from a YouTube channel called Josh the Intern, which focuses on adventure and exploration, with Josh as the main face of the channel as he hikes and backpacks his way to hidden, abandoned, and off the beaten path locations. It's December 16th, 2024, and Josh sets out on a solo hiking trip deep into a remote mountain range. His goal is to track down the wreckage of a large aircraft that went down in 1986, but after hours of grueling climbing, he reaches a summit and stumbles upon something he wasn't expecting at all, a massive ancient fortification. Getting a closer look, he discovers it's a French fort constructed in 1659 for border defense, which was later converted into a maximum security prison. Unable to find a way inside, Josh continues along an isolated trail that winds further into the mountains. That's when he comes across the crumbling remains of an old structure. What he discovers inside stops him cold. Signs that someone has been there recently, canned food, a makeshift sleeping area, and dozens of printed photographs of the same person scattered all over the place. It feels less like an abandoned building and more like a stalker's den.
I followed this trail that weaved me through the mountains, taking me deeper into the range. Hours went by and I was getting more and more remote. The trail I was following was stunning and took me past some incredible views, but then I spotted something unusual just off the path. It seemed to be the ruins of an old building, so I headed in for a closer look. But this is when I discovered something quite terrifying.
Someone definitely lives here. There's canned food. Someone definitely lives here. Maybe not all the time, but often enough, which is crazy, because this is really in ruins and in the middle of nowhere. Very creepy.
Here's the bedding.
Okay, this is really creepy. This is really creepy. There is photos of the same person up on the wall. Like this is a stalker's house or something. This is...
The moment he steps inside, it's obvious that someone has either been here not long ago or possibly still is. But the detail that really gets under your skin, those printed photos of the same individual covering the walls throughout the space. The further he goes in, the more that creeping sense of dread builds.
Oh, there's so many photos on the floor everywhere. This place is littered with the same photos of the same people.
Look at all these photos. These are all photos of people. All photos of people on the floor. Tons of them. On the bed.
I'm gonna get out of here. This is really creepy. I don't know why there's so many photos. That is one of the creepiest things I've ever found while hiking. Someone is living in there, and I think someone is stalking people.
As I headed out of the building, I also found this smaller structure just by it. And inside there was a bed, along with what appeared to be rope.
After leaving that house, I feel like I'm being watched. All of a sudden feels very quiet and eerie around here. There's something really strange going on in these mountains. For sure.
I'm not sure what was going on here, but I had a very bad feeling about it, so I had made up my mind that I would contact local authorities, but with no phone signal.
With a strong gut feeling telling him to get out, Josh makes a quick exit, convinced that he's not alone out there. But right as he's leaving, he notices another small structure just nearby. He checks it out and finds a mattress and a rope sitting in the corner. That's all it takes to make him feel like he may have walked into something far more sinister than a simple abandoned shelter. Once he's back in range and has phone signal again after completing the hike, he reaches out to local authorities and reports everything he found. So what's your take? Was this just some strange, isolated living situation? Or does it point to something much darker? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Running into something like this completely alone in the middle of nowhere is the kind of thing that would stick with most people for a very long time. and it really does make you wonder just what else might be lurking out there, hidden deep in the wilderness. Meet Karen and Chelsea, two friends who run a YouTube channel built around feel-good vlogs, upbeat challenges, and a whole lot of positive energy. Their videos are usually pretty breezy, but this one was going to be a very different story. Craving something that would get their hearts racing, the duo chose to spend a night inside Daring Woods, one of the most notorious forests in all of the UK. Also known as the Screaming Woods, this place has built up a deeply unsettling reputation over the years. Tales of unexplained wailing, dark figures lurking between the trees, and mysterious deaths have surrounded this location for decades. It was July 22nd, 2024, when Karen and Chelsea pulled up to the forest's edge, buzzing with anticipation but clearly on edge. Since camping there is strictly forbidden, they moved quietly as they pushed further into the woods, hunting for somewhere secluded enough to set up for the night.
Oh, no camping is allowed in this woods.
Oh my god.
Well, we're doing it anyway.
We found a spot. We're not too off the path because we had, oh my god, we had so much to carry. Wow. Is this the base? Oh, it's got mosquito thing in it. Mosquito net? Yeah, built in, look. Is that the base? No, yeah, this is the inner. Oh, that's the inner. That's what the poles go through, right? Shimmy it all the way round. That's...
By the time the sun finally disappeared beneath the horizon, they had found their spot. The tent went up, equipment was laid out, and for a while the sound of laughter echoed through the trees. But once the darkness fully took hold, the atmosphere changed completely.
It is completely pitch black now. It's not really... Everything's gone a bit wrong. We've got no signal. We've had to walk far just to get enough signal to get the stories of the area. We're shattered. Chelsea's driven for ages.
I'm knackered.
Everything's gone a bit wrong. We've squashed our breakfast.
My shoe got stuck in the mud. The whole shoe came off my foot.
Like we're getting signal, then we're getting signal, then we're not getting signal. But yeah, so it's pretty creepy. And I mean, when you're in here, it doesn't feel that bad because you can't see the woods that are around us.
Can't see the woods throughout there anyway, it's too dark.
It's pitch black.
So all of a sudden, it's just gone really quiet.
I've just all of a sudden started to feel really frightened. Really frightened. Like literally just as you said that.
Just went...
I just got a very, very horrible feeling come over me, mate.
Yeah, shush.
Mate, I'm not actually kidding. I feel fucking scared.
I'm not.
No, I don't feel right. Something's not right. And I'm not being dramatic. Right as you fucking said that, I felt this horrible feeling of dread.
Alright, well don't tell me about it. You keep that to yourself.
Gone right off that cheesecake.
What?
I'm freaking myself out. Like, stop.
You are?
It was just weird that I felt that right when you said it.
It's because when I spoke, it echoed through the woods. Wow.
The temperature dropped sharply, their phones lost all signal, and an almost suffocating silence pressed in around them. The jokes dried up and replaced by nervous looks. Even their usual back and forth couldn't hide the fact that something felt deeply off. It didn't take long for the weirdness to start.
What? Yeah, me burping like that. It's terrible.
That light turned itself off, mate, and it can't turn off unless you hold it down.
It's probably the battery's
No,
going.
mate.
The battery's probably going.
Mate, I barely used it.
Mate.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you now.
Okay.
On my life.
Alright.
You have to.
It doesn't matter. I don't care, do you?
Mate, that's creepy.
Do you
No,
care?
I'm fine.
Okay. Oh my god, stop. Stop
I'm
it now.
telling you now.
Just stop it now. Just leave it off. Just leave it off. It's running out of battery.
Right, I'm putting this on because if that one goes out, I'm scared.
No.
Yeah.
It's running out of battery, that's all. I'm telling you
Mate,
now.
I haven't used it.
It's just running out of battery, that's all.
And do you know what? Maybe it is running out of battery, maybe it is, but...
I've got a logic explanation for everything.
It could be running out of battery, but I've never...
Their flashlight, which had been fully charged before the trip, kept cutting out for no apparent reason. The forest fell into a dead, unnatural quiet. The girls did their best to stay rational, blaming bad luck and dodgy gear. Then something stopped them cold. A scream.
Okay.
It is new. I haven't used it before. And... just scream. It's just people. Should we go to sleep? Should we go to sleep now? Turn the lights off. The car's there. Yeah, I know. But got it. We need to stay quiet because there are people. That wasn't a ghost. That was a person, and we don't want people seeing where we are because people like fucking scary people. If we get that scared, we'll have to go to the car. There's no other option. We just have to come back in the morning and get the stuff. Yeah, where are we gonna take the car? We'll be stuck there.
It came from somewhere in the distance, but there was no mistaking it slicing right through the stillness of the night. Whether it came from a human or something else entirely, neither of them could say. What they did know was that it wasn't right. Later on, they began hearing movement outside the tent. Something, or possibly someone, was circling their campsite. One of them described what felt like light contact against the tent's outer wall, and while they tried to tell themselves it was just an animal, the pattern and timing made that explanation hard to swallow. Terrified of being found by other people or by whatever else might be out there, they killed their lights and pressed together in silence. With no real way to protect themselves, waiting until daylight seemed like the only reasonable choice. Neither of them got much sleep.
There's a few creepy things that I wished we'd got on camera. I heard, so as I was drifting off to sleep, I've just suddenly been woken up by this horrible feeling of dread and this flashing image of someone like that against the tent. Now obviously that doesn't mean anything, but it was creepy and it freaked me out, really freaked me out, and it made me feel really uneasy for a while. Anyway, I ended up falling back asleep again, and then
I don't know what time it was, but
about 3ish.
Was it about
10
past 3? I woke up. Was that when the rustling?
Yeah, because you said
there was rustling around the tent, like quite a lot. Obviously, it could be an animal or something.
Yeah,
obviously.
but it was like someone was touching the tent.
There was nothing, mate. It was like someone was in the tent, like in the conservatory bit. So it was like rustling and rustling, and I thought I woke Corrine up, and I was like, Corrine, is that you? Can you hear that? And she just goes,
because I was half asleep.
She's half asleep, actually. She just goes, no, it's not me, I'm dead still. And then just went back to sleep. And then it continued for a little while. But the thing is, with that rustling noise, there was no noise before or after it. It just kind of appeared at the end of the tent, and it was just like, oh my god.
And there was nothing. The wind wasn't really bad. It did then start to rain.
It was raining. That had an effect on, maybe hearing stuff.
Other stuff. We did hear branches breaking, but it'd be once in a while a branch would snap. So it wasn't like sort of footsteps were walking and snapping. It was just once in a while a branch sounded like it got trod on. But we kind of just tried to ignore it. At this point, we couldn't really film because we didn't want to have.
No.
If we do something less again, we're gonna have to
We didn't want to make a big deal out of something that potentially wasn't anything.
Well, there shouldn't have been branches snapping. There's not really animals heavy enough. Like there's deer, but they.
Come morning, both admitted that what they had just lived through ranked among the most frightening experiences of their lives. Each recalled moments where overwhelming dread had hit them suddenly and without any clear cause. One even described seeing the silhouette of a figure pressed against the side of the tent, and though she tried to write it off as a dream, the snapping branches, recurring rustling, and total absence of animal sounds throughout the night were much harder to dismiss. Whatever went on in those woods, one thing was certain: neither of them had any intention of ever going back. Some viewers think Karen and Chelsea were simply dealing with a mix of sleep deprivation, paranoia, and the power of suggestion. But others point out that the strange sounds were too consistent, the flashlight failures too unexplained, and the sudden simultaneous dread both women felt too specific to brush off so easily, suggesting perhaps some kind of residual energy lingering in the forest, or even something aware of their presence. So was it all just fear fed by ghost stories and an overactive imagination? Or had something been watching them from the darkness the whole time? And if they had stayed just a little longer, what might they have come face to face with? On July 14th, 2025, the wandering Cumbrian heads out on what he describes as a stealth wild camp. The mission is straightforward: find a discreet spot right on the outskirts of a town. He's chasing that particular buzz of going undetected, bedding down within reach of civilization, while still feeling genuinely off-grid. The vibe is upbeat.
I hope everyone's doing all right. Yeah, as you can tell by the thumbnail and the description, I'm going to be doing a stealth camp tonight, and I can't remember the last time I done one, just because I've been doing other stuff on the channel. Yeah, this one's going to be really sketchy tonight. where I'm going, my location for the night, rather, if I can get my words out, is basically behind a wall in a load of bushes, but it's 2 foot off, like a little road, or a lonan, as we call it up north. Yeah, it's going to be a really sketchy one. And this spot has caught my eye for the past week, just because it's one of my main routes to Workington, or if I'm going to work. So yeah, it's going to be another wild one. I've forgotten what to do in this stealth camp, so we'll just see how it goes. Right, I'm going to carry on.
As it usually is, with the expectation of a quiet, restful night ahead, but somewhere along one of those urban trails, something shifts the atmosphere entirely. His first candidate...
We've got major issues here. This is going to be a very difficult one to pull off. To get into this spot, I just cannot seem to get a break at the minute. Dog walkers, people on bikes, very, very frustrating. But I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on this. It's just picking the right time to get over that wall and then getting to the spot for the night. But, I mean, I come down earlier because I was going to prep up the spot for the night, because obviously it's a load of weeds and nettles and stuff like that. I was going to go in and trample them all down, but I just could not get a break at all. So yeah, hopefully everyone just buggers off home and we can get in for the night. Right, I'll bring you back soon. Yeah, you see what I mean, guys? People over there. Very frustrating, but there's the spot I want to get into. Right there in that gap, right over the wall and then down. Yeah, I think everyone's starting to bug it off now, so that will give me a good break. And once the coast is clear, I'll jump over the wall.
A small patch of woodland, hugging a well-used footpath, turns out to be completely unsuitable, too open, too close to nearby houses, and with a constant stream of dog walkers passing through. That creeping sense of being on full display starts to set in. This wasn't the invisible getaway he'd been picturing. Anyone could clock him there, and that could mean an awkward confrontation, or something worse. He doesn't hesitate long before ditching Plan A and going in search of somewhere more tucked away. A little rattled, he moves on to his backup location, a slightly more sheltered area that seems to offer better cover. He gets to work setting up, still clinging to the hope of a calm night, surrounded by nature, urban setting and all. Then, just as he's spreading out his kit, something completely unexpected blindsides him.
I am not feeling too great at the minute, I'm not going to lie. I feel really, really sick, and I've only had 2 beers. I'm debating what to do, to be honest, because I don't really want to bail this camp and go home, but then I've got to listen to my body at the end of the day. Yeah, I've just come over all bloody rotten all of a sudden. So, and don't get us wrong, I'm not scared to do this camp because I've done it before. I just it's not like an excuse. I just really don't feel right. I feel really sick. I don't know if it's to do with this heat or anything like that. I just feel really sick. So I'm gonna have to bail the camp. I'm sorry, guys, to let you down on that. Yeah, I do not feel right whatsoever. So I'm gonna have to pack everything up and just go now. So yeah, I'm gonna apologise for this, but I will make it up for you lot in the future. Hopefully there's a video coming out next weekend, but I don't know what's come over us. I just feel really, really crappy, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna get everything packed up. And
a powerful wave of nausea hits him out of absolutely nowhere. He feels genuinely, seriously ill. No warning, no buildup. It's bad enough that he can barely keep himself together. This goes beyond simply feeling a bit off. It's an immediate and overwhelming physical crisis. The sudden sickness forces his hand, regardless of the effort it took to find the spot. There's no pushing through it. he makes the tough call to pack everything up and go straight home. What was supposed to be a laid-back escape into the wild has been ended prematurely by a mysterious bout of illness. The questions keep circling as he makes his way back. What actually brought it on so suddenly? Was it just some random bug, or did the tension of camping in an urban environment somehow play a role?
Me packed up. I thought I'll give myself about 10 minutes, but I still feel like absolute garbage. I'm gutted to be doing this bailing out on camp, because I'm never like this. I've never been ill once on a camp. It went bad from start to finish, it really has. Obviously with the first spot, and then having to come here and just not feeling well. I'm gutted, but I've got to listen to my body. So, right, I'm going to get away now, and I'll meet you outside where the roundabout is. Yeah, sorry about the light, guys. Just on the way home right now. There's only one time I've bailed out on a camp, and that was when I was doing the multi-storey car park one last year. I think it was this time last year, so I don't know, I just, like I said, I don't know if it's the heat, humidity. Oh, I've touched, because when I was in the original spot, the nettles and brambles. I know I've got nettled on my hand and that, but I'm normally alright when I get nettled by anything like that, but I just feel really, really crappy. So.
No outside threat was responsible this time, but the experience leaves him with a lingering thought. Out here, it's not always people or the elements that catch you off guard, but the unexpected things that come from within. So what do you make of this one? Bugs is a photographer and explorer who calls Albuquerque, New Mexico home. He makes a habit of seeking out the kinds of places most people never bother to stop for: hidden tunnels, long forgotten roads, and ghost towns scattered throughout the New Mexico desert. He simply visits interesting locations and captures whatever he comes across. On the night of November 26th, 2024, Bugs headed out to Yeso, New Mexico, a ghost town sitting silently alongside a desert highway. After spending the evening wandering through the abandoned structures, he parked his RV van right in the heart of town and settled in for the night. Everything around him was still, but out in the middle of nowhere. That kind of stillness has a way of not lasting. Somewhere deep in the night, Bugs was jolted awake.
Something woke me up. I heard, I think, sounded like footsteps. I'm not sure if that's what woke me up. I put on my pants and my shoes just for in case. I was asleep. I got all my windows closed. I got this light here, but I don't know if they can see it. But I certainly heard footsteps. Something woke me up. I'm not sure what it was. Oh, fuck. Just for in case. Oh shit, I heard the footsteps again. Looks like they went to the back. What the fuck? Okay. Somebody's definitely outside. I don't think I'm gonna stay here. Honestly, I end up shooting somebody. Fuck. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? There's somebody inside. Son of a bitch. I don't even know if I want to go outside. Who is it? Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm coming outside, man. Just so you know, I'm armed. I'm opening the door. Who's there? don't see anybody. Fuck. Motherfuck. Anybody there? Motherfuck, is somebody out here? Hello? Maybe they went inside that schoolhouse. Okay. It's time for me to go. The sound was coming from this side, from the driver's side. Okay, I think I'm gonna hit.
That was all it took. Bugs climbed back into the van, fired up the engine, and headed out of Yeso toward the nearby town of Vaughn. So what exactly was out there? A person, maybe. Ghost towns aren't always as deserted as they seem. There were a few occupied houses on the edges of Yeso, and someone could have wandered over out of curiosity, or with less innocent intentions. But even so, footsteps circling a parked van in the pitch black of night, in a town where nobody should be around, only to disappear the instant someone steps outside to investigate, I genuinely can't make sense of it. Now, staging something like this wouldn't be all that hard to pull off. But take a look through Bug's channel and what you'll find are e-bike rides around Albuquerque. There's no real motive to fabricate something like this, and that's exactly what makes it so difficult to dismiss. Ultimately, I'll leave the call to you. Meet Joe and Elliot, the team running the YouTube channel Ghost Theory. They make a habit of visiting locations with serious haunted reputations, bringing along cameras and paranormal gear in hopes of finding undeniable proof that something exists beyond death. Their mission is to cut through myth and get to the truth. But inside one particular Tudor mansion, they would come face to face with evidence so compelling, it would shake even the most hardened skeptic. The investigation unfolds at Tudor World, a historic manor house that has since been transformed into a museum dedicated to the dark and violent history of the Tudor period.
Tudor World, where it's been, this amazing Tudor mansion's been turned into a kind of museum.
I mean, we've had a look around already, but there's one part we haven't been in yet, which apparently would be the most active part of the building.
Yeah.
And we've got stories because this is...
Joe and Elliot kicked things off with a guided tour of the building, which was packed with unsettling displays covering torture, witchcraft, and the deeply disturbing medical practices of the era. The place already felt oppressive under the weight of its grim history, from rooms where women reportedly experienced the touch of invisible hands, to stories of horrifying treatments involving mercury and the urine of a deceased man.
So, according to stories of this place, people are allowed to sit and lie on the bed and test the bed out. And I'm not going down that line. No.
I mean, this whole thing here is about how they would half drown women just to shut them up if they spoke out of line.
Yeah.
This woman is using the urine of a dead man. Like, I don't understand how this... I mean...
That initial walkthrough cast a deeply foreboding shadow over what was to come, suggesting that whatever tormented energy once filled those ancient walls may never have left. Once darkness settled in and the building grew quiet, the pair launched their investigation on the ground floor, addressing any spirits that might be present.
And I was about to say everything's quietening down now, but it has quietened down. So we're here to try and communicate, and you've probably had this a lot. A lot of people come here, so we apologise if...
The opening minutes were calm, but that stillness was suddenly broken by a loud, unmistakable knock that rang out from somewhere within the very same room. The sound was crisp and immediate, far too close and deliberate to be dismissed as noise drifting in from outside. It was their first concrete signal that something else was there with them. A direct reply that sent a surge of both excitement and dread through the two men.
Can you make some sounds for us? Can you knock on...
What was that?
You just hit...
And that was in the room as well. That wasn't like...
Things escalated fast. As they continued watching from downstairs, they began picking up what could only be described as footsteps creaking across the floorboards on the floor directly above. The sound was distinct enough that Elliot headed upstairs and reproduced it himself, confirming that something or someone had been moving around up there.
Walking then, upstairs, very far away. It's that step.
That is 100% it. Someone's just stood on that step.
and so began a maddening and deeply unsettling cycle. Whenever they were on the lower floor, the footsteps would start up again. But the instant they climbed the stairs to find the source, the entire building would go dead silent. Something was playing games with them, steering them in circles like it was fully aware of their every move. Their equipment started behaving strangely too. Camera batteries bled out within minutes, and recordings cut off without any clear cause, especially in the spots where activity was highest. The sense of being observed grew stronger once they made their way up to the attic, a room the building referred to as the seance room. The air there felt thick and suffocating, and both investigators became acutely aware of a presence nearby, with Elliot growing increasingly certain that something was positioned right behind him. That crushing atmosphere was broken up by small, deeply unsettling sounds, soft clicks and creaks that seemed to come from the vacant chairs right next to them, even while everything remained completely still. As the hours dragged on and the outside world went utterly silent, the activity inside the mansion surged to a new level. Well past 2:30 in the morning, the upstairs footsteps returned, heavier and more purposeful than before. Certain there was nothing rational left to consider, they set up one last test. Joe stayed on the ground floor while Elliot walked across the upper level, and the sound he produced was an exact match for the phantom steps they had been chasing all night.
Does that sound the same?
Exactly the same.
Okay. So that sounds exactly the same. What we've heard is someone walking up and down here.
Yes.
The building was locked, empty of anyone else, with no outside noise to account for anything, and no way to explain away what they were hearing. It was the unmistakable sound of someone moving through those deserted hallways right alongside them. They had found exactly what they came for. Clear, repeatable evidence that something paranormal was at work. Those disembodied footsteps were not random background noise. They were deliberate, responsive, and almost playful, turning the whole night into a cat and mouse chase that left both men equally exhilarated and deeply shaken. They walked out of Tudor World without a single rational answer for who had been pacing those halls, carrying with them only the bone-chilling conviction that the ghosts of history are far closer to us than we ever dared to believe. July 15th, 2024, this female hiker experienced the most terrifying moment of her life when she came face to face with a massive brown bear out of nowhere. The fear hit her so hard she could barely breathe. With no one around and no chance of outrunning the animal, all she could do was stand there and pray.
You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Please don't come here. Thank you. Please go. Please go. Please, no. No, please. Please don't come this way. Oh, thank God. Holy. Oh my God. Oh my God, please don't come here.
But think about what could have gone differently. What if that bear had been starving, or even worse, defending cubs somewhere close by? During late summer, bears enter a phase called hyperphagia, where they're driven to consume as many as 20,000 calories every single day just to build up enough fat reserves for hibernation. To a hungry bear, a solitary hiker is essentially an effortless target, and a mother guarding her young is widely considered the most lethal animal on the entire continent. On top of that, brown bears can hit speeds of up to 35 miles per hour and carry over 600 pounds of raw power in muscle and claw. Had that animal decided to close the distance, she would have had maybe 3 seconds, if that, to do anything about it. And even if she somehow managed to survive the initial strike, the reality of bleeding out deep in the wilderness, with ruptured organs and torn muscle, means she likely would have succumbed long before any rescue team could have ever located her. Hiro and Tomo are the two guys running Omagatoki Film, a Japanese YouTube channel focused entirely on ghost hunting and exploring some of the most haunted spots throughout Japan. This time around, they decided to take on something seriously daring, spending a full night camping inside the notorious Inunaki Tunnel. But before we get into what happened, here's a little background on why this place has such a dark reputation. Situated in Fukuoka Prefecture, Inunaki Tunnel is far from your typical creepy urban legend spot. It was originally constructed to provide access to Inunaki Village, but the project was plagued by tragedy when multiple workers lost their lives in accidents during the build. The tunnel shut down in 1975 after a newer route was opened, yet reports of ghostly encounters in both tunnels never stopped coming in. And then there's the darkest chapter of all, a horrifying incident from 1988 in which a group of teenagers brutally attacked and murdered a young boy within the tunnel's walls.
もう2時超えてるんですけど、ちょっとね、もう疲れちゃったんで、早速、 宿の中に入ってテントを張りたいと思います。じゃあちょっと宿に中入りましょうか。ちょっと入りづらいんですけど気にしないでいただいて入りましょう。はい。
They pitched their tent right in the center of the tunnel, and almost immediately, something felt wrong. As they ventured deeper inside, an unsettling sound began to reach their ears.
ちょっと一回電気消してみます。一回ちょっとこれか。ちょっと一回。おおちょ声聞こえた今。聞こえなかった今。声聞こえなかった。いやわかんないなんか女の声。ちょっと戻ろう。あ、ちょっと今女の声聞こえた。今ちょっと僕以外聞こえなかったみたいですけど。
Hiro distinctly made out a female voice saying something deeply disturbing, though Tomo failed to pick up on it at first. They hurried back to the tent, telling themselves it was probably just dripping water or acoustic echoes bouncing off the walls. But neither of them truly believed that. Something else was sharing that tunnel with them, and they both knew it. Settling back at camp, they attempted to wind down for the night. It was past 3 in the morning, and the long journey and hike had worn them both out, but getting any real rest was proving impossible.
Just 一瞬俺寝てたけどな。いやもう寝よう。早くさっさと。倒れた。触った？いや、触ってないです。トムさん触ってないですよね。触ってない。倒れた。マジで倒れた。やばい。なんで
In the moment, they brushed it off as just another odd occurrence and didn't think much of it. What they had no idea about, though, was that the instant the camera toppled over, something extraordinary was recorded. If you pause and look carefully at the footage, there's what looks like a human head peering out from the darkness directly toward their tent. Something had been observing them the whole time. Without their knowledge, they tried their best to shake it off and get some sleep, but just 15 minutes later, things took a turn for the worse.
はっきりいや声が聞こえて、飛び起きたんですけど、声のする方を見たらここから
Hiro spotted silhouettes standing just outside the tent, staring directly in at them. That was the breaking point. They grabbed their gear as quickly as humanly possible and fled. So, was it an actual spirit? Was somebody out there playing games with them? There's really no definitive answer. What we do know is that Inunaki Tunnel more than delivered on its sinister reputation. Hiro and Tomo walked in searching for a brush with the paranormal, and walked out having experienced far more than they bargained for. Whatever lurked in those shadows that night made absolutely certain they wouldn't forget it. Tim Morozov is a Russian content creator with a reputation for throwing himself headfirst into the kinds of places most people would never dare approach. Abandoned homes, decaying structures, and buildings rumored to harbor something far darker than a troubled past. His videos are never just casual walkthroughs, they are deliberate confrontations with whatever might be lurking in the unseen corners of these spaces. carried out with cameras, specialized gear, and an unwavering drive to find answers. In this particular video, Tim takes on what may be his most harrowing challenge yet, surviving an entire night inside a house that locals have long believed is home to something deeply sinister.
Так, сейчас нет сигнала. Видимо, пока что еще не стемнело. Получается, друзья, действительно, днем здесь активность паранормальная отсутствует. В этом доме она присутствует только ночью. Эми не пищит, значит, наверное, безопасно. Ой, черт. Смотрите.
The early hours are almost misleadingly calm. His equipment registers nothing unusual, and for a brief window, it seems entirely possible that this is just another crumbling, forgotten building. But the moment Tim climbs into the attic, that sense of calm begins to erode. He discovers a collection of dolls, objects tied to folklore surrounding trapped and tormented spirits, each one skewered with needles, their bodies contorted as though someone had arranged them this way with deliberate, malicious intent. The atmosphere grows dense, and the quiet itself starts to feel like something pressing in from all sides.
Кукол, я сейчас это вытащу все и сломаю эти иглы. Друзья, от кукол идет небольшой сигнал. Это значит, души здесь. Оно здесь. Оно здесь.
Твоя душа будет моей куклой.
Кто ты? Назовись. Я не боюсь тебя. Погас.
Everything shifted in an instant. One of the cameras Tim had set up around the property captured what he believes to be a demonic entity haunting the building, and then the stillness is shattered without any warning. A voice cuts through the spirit box, unmistakably clear, unmistakably threatening, and it delivers a chilling message. Your soul will be my doll. Then silence. The device dies on the spot, despite having been fully charged when the night started. That sudden, inexplicable failure plunges Tim into disorientation, stripping away what he had relied on most. The house seems to pulse around him, aware, patient.
Бегает. Я подозреваю, что здесь есть какой-то человек, который вставил иголки обратно в куклы и о котором говорили души. Якобы это человек.
Then sounds begin emerging from outside, slow, deliberate footsteps making their way around the perimeter of the building, far too substantial to be written off as wildlife. The possibility becomes impossible to ignore. Maybe someone else has entered this space, or maybe whatever is out there was once human and no longer qualifies. That thought saturates every room, making even the walls feel like they're closing in. And just when the tension from those sounds had reached its peak, something far more immediate takes over. Tim is thrown violently to the floor by an invisible force, his gear sent flying across the room on impact. In the moment, it registers as nothing more than some inexplicable push from the house itself. But when the footage is played back later, something far more unsettling comes into focus. A dark, distorted figure can be seen moving directly behind him, faint but impossible to dismiss. Tim had no idea what his camera had just recorded. Shaken and disoriented from being shoved to the ground by something he never saw, he nonetheless refused to walk away. If anything, the experience only hardened his conviction that something demonic had taken up residence within these walls. He launched into a ritual, pouring holy water across each of the dolls and working through a series of prayers, even as the building seemed to actively push back against him. Shadows crept closer, hostile voices hissed in the dark, and the air grew thicker with every passing moment. By the time he reached the final doll, the environment had turned outright aggressive, but when he spoke the last words of the ritual, a silence descended, though not the kind that brings relief. His equipment was gone, his defenses had thinned, and the rest of the night stretched out ahead of him with no clear end. What followed was a test of sheer endurance, with nothing but the faint light of his camera standing between him and complete darkness. He stayed still and cold, waiting for daylight to arrive. And when morning finally came, what he carried out of that house wasn't any sense of victory, it was simply the fact that he had made it through. Whatever resides there had not been driven out. It had merely been disturbed. Some places resist being saved, and some presences refuse to release their grip. So what's your take? Was this house every bit as haunted as Tim believed, and did he genuinely capture proof of something supernatural that night, or could there be another explanation? Tim's night in Russia was defined by encroaching shadows, desperate rituals, and an unseen force that made itself violently known. In 2022, solo traveler Allison Sharp was working her way along the Florida coastline, capturing van life and low-budget travel content for her YouTube audience. After a rough, sleepless night in Daytona Beach, she pulled into West Palm Beach, running on empty and desperately searching for a safe place to rest.
And I kind of saw what I needed to see in Daytona, and I really want to get to West Palm Beach and start making my way further down the coast.
Every lead went nowhere. Walmart turned her away from overnight parking. Residential neighborhoods weren't an option. A Planet Fitness parking lot didn't sit right with her, yet she stayed regardless, jolting awake every 30 minutes to strange sounds, heavy bass, and an unshakable sense that someone was watching her.
Overnight parking, and even though their parking lot was huge, they did not. So I drove around for quite a while, and the same issue that I've been having in South Florida, there's no curbs, there's no residential areas to park. So I decided to go to a Planet Fitness, and that particular Planet Fitness didn't give me the best feeling, but at that point I was so tired, so I just parked up under a tree and tried to go sleep, and that was that. In the morning, I just made myself I ended up at the Planet Fitness parking lot, and it was one of the worst sleeps I had because some doofus was playing music in the parking lot all night. Like, all I could hear was bass just thumping all night. And I was parked under a tree, and I don't know what was on it. Like,
with nowhere left to turn, Allison tried couch surfing for the very first time. A woman reached out, offering her a place, or at minimum a parking spot in front of her home. But the moment they came face to face, something felt deeply wrong.
Heard of couch surfing for a long time, and they have an app, so I signed up to it, and this lovely lady has said, yeah, like, I mean, you're welcome to stay in my house.
The woman showed up late, seemed disoriented and unfocused, and launched into a lengthy story about a painful divorce and escaping from her husband. The house Allison was supposed to spend the night in was almost completely bare, no bed, no furniture, nothing.
Lightly slurring her words, but not like slurring like an alcoholic, but it just seemed like she was under a lot of stress. And then when we walked into the house, she was telling me a lot of stories about she's going through a divorce and her husband is very difficult, and it was very sad, and I was just like, oh my god, everything's gonna be okay. But she was basically saying like, this new house that she just got like a week ago is the one that I would be staying at, and this is her house to try to get away from her husband. And like,
then a single question stopped her cold. What about keys? If she went inside, how would she get out? Why wasn't she being given a way to leave freely?
and then it just got a little awkward because like I was like, so do you want me to take the keys to your house? And she's like, no. And then it, like, she kind of clammed up. I don't know if she did, but like the vibe was that she was like, oh. But then I was thinking like, okay, but like if I don't take the keys when we meet up again, when I come back to like go to sleep, are you just gonna lock me into the house? Like I'm not gonna have the keys to be able to...
Nothing explicitly threatening took place, but every gut instinct she had was screaming at her to go. Allison spent the night in her car instead.
But I'm just saying that for this video, the reason that I didn't say so much is because I didn't want to make her feel bad, so hopefully she doesn't watch this video. But I want to be honest about the reason why this was such a weird experience for me. So all those things were coming into play in my mind. Like, this is a side tangent, and you can...
Looking back, she'd say the most terrifying part wasn't anything that actually occurred. Meet CJ Faison, the man behind the YouTube channel that shares his name. Through his content, CJ brings his audience along for heart-pounding visits to derelict and allegedly haunted sites. His signature mix of daring exploration, paranormal curiosity, and unscripted moments has built him a devoted following. But on this particular night, CJ was about to discover just how quickly one of these adventures could spiral into something genuinely disturbing as he headed out alone for a camping trip in a location steeped in dark folklore. That night, CJ pulled up to Pocamoke Forest, geared up and ready to tackle a solo overnight stay. With only his camera, a brand new tent, and a sleeping bag to his name, he was determined to capture whatever secrets this place might be hiding.
My name's CJ Faison. First and foremost, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on this video if you're really...
His vlog kicks off with a creepy walk through an old graveyard sitting right at the forest's edge. Then, without warning, gunshots crack through the air, a jarring reminder that sometimes the real world is more frightening than any ghost story.
Forest, not going to take much of your time, but I'm alone, unfortunately, and if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you kind of know the updates. Sunny is out of town for a few days, and what that means is I gotta go, and I gotta keep on making and creating. I gotta keep on making and you.
Picture yourself pitching a tent in total darkness, those haunted trees pressing in from every direction. During his wander around the area, CJ spots a distant light and suddenly realizes he has company out there. He cuts his torch immediately, not wanting whoever it is to know where he's standing. The tension in the air thickened, and the stage was set for a deeply unsettling night ahead.
Holly, Eric, and I, we all came to, and this is actually where I first thought Sunny got possessed.
Before making camp, CJ had pushed far into the woods, determined to find a spot isolated enough that no one would bother him, though his truck still visible nearby was giving his location away whether he liked it or not.
Right down through there. And I want to go deep enough into the forest to where I don't have to worry about someone like easily finding me, because my truck is going to be a dead giveaway. I want to be far enough into the woods in a random spot, so then that way, again, no one can mess with me.
Still rattled from the gunfire, he crouches in the darkness and holds his breath, with no idea whether this other person means him harm. And that's only the start of it. As the night wore on, he began hearing something that stopped him cold, a voice that sounded unmistakably like his wife's, even though he knew for a fact she was nowhere near. Then came what seemed to be laughter drifting through the trees.
I gotta be able to make my way somewhere. Shit. That's somebody's light. That's somebody's light right there. Alright, I gotta be able to make my way somewhere. That's somebody's light. I gotta turn off mine.
He managed to get footage of that light weaving between the trunks.
Oh god. Oh shit.
After crouching and hiding for what felt like forever, somewhere between 25 and 30 minutes, he became convinced this was no ordinary hunter.
I've literally been sitting here for at least 25, maybe 30 minutes. Oh, jeez. Whoever that person is, they are not the hunter. Because there's no way in hell. Just keep looking in the same area over and over.
Then, at 1:30 in the morning, an unusually tall and impossibly thin figure moved slowly through the forest.
I really do. I'm debating whether this was a good idea or not. Maybe for a little bit now. I'm trying to remain calm and be rational and think that maybe that's just a hunter. But I still don't know what a hunter would be doing out here this damn late at night. I'm sorry, but unless you're spotlighting deer, you're not hunting out here. But I'm debating on whether or not to pack up my tent and leave, or just leave, or stay the night. I mean, I don't know what the odds of that actually being a hookman is. Again, that's an old legendary wise tale. But that person was really, really skinny.
CJ picks up on strange sounds echoing in the distance. Then the footage captures something that's hard to believe.
A little bit later in the night, and my battery has already died. So, but I don't even know if there's anything on the footage. But I heard something just a little earlier, and it almost sounded like I don't know how, like, you know how, like, antlers, like, clang together? It almost sound like two deer, like, fighting with each other.
A sharp, violent, snapping noise sends him bolting in a full panic. He retreats to his tent and, despite everything, musters the courage to run a spirit box session, only for something to slam hard into the side of the tent. Somehow, CJ holds it together and makes it through the rest of the night, getting a few more moments on camera. But when he finally drifts off to sleep, the camera catches something chilling, a figure lingering just outside the tent fabric. He had no idea it was there until he reviewed the footage afterward, and his heart nearly stopped. When daylight finally arrived, CJ wasted no time hiking out of those woods, deeply grateful that the ordeal was behind him. What CJ Faison endured that night in Pocamoke Forest was the kind of experience that makes it impossible to separate myth from reality. The strange figure, the phantom sounds, the voice that shouldn't have been there, all of it left him with questions he still can't fully answer. He made it out in one piece, but the mystery of what, or who, was out there with him remains, a sobering reminder that the wilderness can harbor threats far more terrifying than any. Woman decided to take a solo walk through the forest to get some peace of mind. At some point along the trail, she used her selfie stick to snap a quick photo. It wasn't until she got back home and pulled up the image that her stomach dropped. Standing perfectly still between the trees in the background was a figure, no face, no eyes, no mouth, completely featureless. What made it so much harder to shake was the fact that her husband had died just 15 days before. Could this have been his final farewell? She spent the next 3 nights lying awake, torn between grief, a strange sense of comfort, and outright fear. Channeled Trent while the outdoors, documents laid-back car camping excursions, kayaking trips, and overnight stays across Florida's scenic landscapes. Trent has built a following around his down-to-earth, unpretentious style, cooking over open fires, keeping his gear minimal, and exploring state forests, riverbanks, and tucked-away pockets of the state most people never find. His outings tend to be mellow and low-key, just one man soaking in the natural world, but during a particular overnight stay near an isolated dam, the tranquility didn't last. He pulls into a remote parking area right around dusk, close to a dam system in north central Florida. The location is completely disconnected from the grid, no lighting, no park staff, and zero cell reception. He gets his minimalist car camping setup going, folding down the rear seats of his hatchback, rolling out a foam sleeping pad, and building a charcoal fire pit. He captures the whole routine on camera: the meal prep, the setup, the peaceful stillness of the surrounding trees and water. Once the fire burns itself out, the darkness is total. Apart from a single vehicle parked a few spots away, he appears to have the entire area to himself. He climbs into the back of his car for the night, zipped up in his sleeping bag. The windows are cracked just slightly, the rear hatch pulled shut, snug but workable. He's counting on a quiet, undisturbed night of sleep. But somewhere past midnight, everything shifts.
I don't know if you guys can hear that, but so I'm sleeping in my car in a parking lot, and there's somebody walking around between our cars. He's walking around both mine and Dustin's. He tried to open my door, but luckily my car was locked. Hopefully he goes away. This is crazy. He's just like looking at everything. He's like looking up against the window. This is crazy.
From outside the vehicle, he picks up the sound of footsteps. Heavy, purposeful, human footsteps grinding into the gravel, tracing a slow and deliberate loop around the car. His immediate reaction is to go completely still. The interior is pitch black, and he holds his breath as the figure moves from the driver's side toward the back of the vehicle. Then comes the sound he was dreading, someone testing the door handle. It doesn't give. Thankfully, it's locked. The person continues around to the passenger side, tries that door as well, and then, in a detail that makes the whole thing even more chilling, moves toward the only other vehicle in the lot. Trent listens as the exact same routine plays out again. Footsteps, handle, pause. Not a single word spoken the entire time. This isn't someone who's disoriented or in need of assistance. This is someone methodically working through the lot in complete silence, checking each car for an unlocked entry point. After making the rounds on both vehicles, the figure slips away into the woods near a small unmarked trail opening. They disappeared into the tree line as though they had never existed at all. By the time morning arrives, Trent is still rattled.
So here we are in the parking lot here. We just got up. I went to the bathroom a little bit ago, but got up for good now. And there's a trail in the woods, so whatever was walking around the car, it looked like it was up on two legs like a human, but whatever it was come out of this trail and went down into the woods somewhere. I don't know. Definitely not going to be staying here again tonight, though, that's for sure. There's a tiny little turtle. I mean, this thing's like, I don't know, maybe like 3 inches long. Tiny little guy.
He steps out of the car carefully, eyes sweeping the lot. Nothing is missing. His car shows no signs of tampering beyond the attempted entry. He makes his way over to the trail where the figure vanished the night before. It cuts into dense brush with no clear endpoint, no tents, no sign of anyone camping nearby. Later in the video, he reflects on just how deeply the experience got under his skin. Not because of what actually occurred, but because of how close it came to being something far worse. A person was actively trying to break into his car in the dead of night, at one of the most isolated spots imaginable. The encounter left him genuinely shaken, and it's exactly the kind of thing that makes you question whether solo camping in remote locations is ever truly safe. Uncanny Expeditions is a channel that launched just a couple of years back, and in that time, its creator has built up a solid library of videos documenting his visits to abandoned and mysterious locations. But the content that really sets his channel apart are his camping excursions near Area 51, the classified US military installation that needs no introduction for most of you. Speculation has run wild for decades that this facility could be concealing evidence of extraterrestrial life, think aliens, UFOs, the whole 9 yards. Most of it remains firmly in the realm of theory, Yet a huge number of people are completely convinced there's truth behind the rumors, and this creator is absolutely one of them. In the majority of his overnight trips to this spot, not much tends to unfold, but in this particular upload, he managed to capture something on camera that could genuinely lend weight to some of those theories.
I'm riding along and I just caught my first glimpse of the facility. I can see one of the big radar dishes off in the distance. All right, so I'm at the western fence line, looking towards some kind of a small little building there. Here's the main cluster of buildings, at least on the surface. This looks like it's mostly hangars and storage facilities where they store models and airframes. You can see the radar too. They blast it this way downrange. They've got a small little gate on the western fence here. No drones. Pretty typical signage.
He attempted to approach the front gate to check for any signs of movement, but the only thing waiting for him was a handful of security vehicles sitting unattended in the lot. Quick word of caution here, please don't try to replicate this at restricted sites. These places are heavily guarded, and attempting to breach them can result in very serious legal consequences. After poking around for a while, he pushed on a little further until he reached an elevated ridge with an unobstructed sightline to the base below. He pitched his tent right there and settled in for the night. Some activity caught his attention early on, but things shifted into a completely different gear the moment he switched on his night vision camera. See for yourself what he recorded.
After about 5 or 6 vehicles entered the facility, things kind of calmed down. I wasn't sure if I was going to see anything, but after a while sitting there in the dark, things started to get interesting. The first thing I noticed was a light appeared on the ground. It was too faint for me to see with the naked eye, but through my nods it showed up very bright. This was indicating to me that the hatch was most likely opening to the underground silo. Wow, this looks crazy. They got it rotating up there on that pylon. Keep in mind, if this isn't the clearest video in the world, it's being filmed at over 1.5 miles away, probably close to 1.5 miles away, and in pitch dark conditions. Like there's no lights. They killed all the lights on the runway. They really didn't want this to be filmed. But I've got my PVS-14 night vision device here, and I have that stacked with my spotting scope. And yeah, hopefully this is going to come out cool. I can make out the vague shape of the craft. I can see the nose, and it looks like 2 vertical fins. I think the aircraft is upside down. They're spinning it around too, so.
So did he actually film a UFO, or is this just a cutting-edge military aircraft going through its paces in the dark? Honestly, I can't say with any confidence. This is well outside my area of knowledge, but I have a feeling some of you out there might recognize exactly what's going on in that footage. So drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely can't wait to read what you come up with. Casual visit to Battle Abbey in Sussex, England took a distinctly unsettling turn. Someone was taking pictures of the historic grounds when one particular image caught their attention. On the surface, it appeared completely ordinary, but zooming in revealed something else entirely. A faint, human-shaped form visible in the grass, despite nobody having been standing in that area. Skeptics chalk it up to a trick of the light, while others aren't so easily convinced. Could this be a spirit, some restless remnant haunting the site of that blood-soaked battlefield? Then there's the story of a group of hikers out on a mountain trail, where one of them became too exhausted to push on and decided to lie down and rest right there on the path. His companion casually panned the camera around their surroundings. It wasn't until they reviewed the footage afterward that something stopped them cold. Just a couple of feet away, partially hidden among the trees, stood a small, dark figure with wild, disheveled hair, completely motionless. Some viewers believe it bears a striking resemblance to the Indonesian spirit known as the Gender Yuwu, a creature said to dwell deep in forested areas. Others are quick to dismiss it as nothing more than a tree or a strangely shaped bush. As for the hikers themselves, they still have no explanation,